For over 50 years, the people of South Sudan have been in conflict either with the north, which is Sudan, or with other local tribes. In April 2016, armed Murule soldiers raided a village in Ethiopia, causing an international incident where 100 children were abducted. Most men in South Sudan have only known war and have a difficult time re-entering a peaceful lifestyle. The lack of employment, training for men returning from conflict, and the lack of essential resources to live a normal life, the root causes of insecurity and famine. Food insecurity and malnutrition has exploded, as did reliance on food distribution from non-governmental organizations. The wars and the conflict have had an effect on the environment as well. Crop production has been reduced and the forests have been depleted, causing soil erosion and sedimentation build-up in the Nile watershed. Environmental conservation is vital locally, but also to the entire region, as the Boma Mountains are an extension of the Ethiopian highlands. These mountains serve as one of the primary water sources of Great River Nile, providing millions of people with water, irrigated land for farming, and electricity. As such, it's critical that steps be taken to protect this valuable resource through reforestation of South Sudan.
In other areas also we have water. We have managed to set up irrigation project with 4 watering points in our garden. We have more than 50,000 liters of tanks storage of water, and we have also made sure the villagers do not lack in water. They get clean drinking water from the compound here, and there are wells, the boreholes also, which they're supposed to be fetching water from. We also make sure once in a while we renovate.
Farming for Peace is an initiative that Sea Partners began in 2015. We prepared that right here in this very compound. And one of the things that we thought about is how can we socially and economically transform Boma so that they can become successful and live lives that are encouraging to others to follow as an example. So Farming for Peace is one of those things that we believe can do several different things. One, we can create entrepreneurs. All societies that are successful have a series of entrepreneurs who rise up and develop new businesses. With Farming for Peace, we intend to not only be farming, but using manufacturing as a key component to that. We want to manufacture things like eucalyptus oil, lumber, food production, drying food, things like that. All of these things are designed to be able to help us improve the lives of the people in Boma.
Based on a recent in-depth needs assessment in Boma State, 14 years of programming Southern Sudan, and a recent success in pivoting between development and emergency response, Sea Partners proposes to support affected communities of Boma to transition from emergency programming to recovery-based interventions.
We have many challenges working here in Boma. As you can imagine, we're in the bush. We're far from the beaten path. We're almost 490 kilometers from Juba, and we're out in the middle of nowhere. And there's no infrastructure here, so everything that we have here, we've had to create on our own. So we've had to develop our own water sources. We've had to develop our own electricity through solar. We've had to build all our own structures, and we've had to import or bring in all the supplies to do that. So it's quite expensive. Most of the time, you have to fly it in by air. When it's during the dry season, then you can drive some trucks in, but mostly things are brought in by air. So there's a lot of logistical challenges to working in Boma. But we're so grateful for this opportunity because we really believe that this program, Farming for Peace, can have a long-term benefit to not just Boma, but all through South Sudan.
Essentially, Sea Partners intends to encourage and support farming for peace Sea Partners is therefore requesting for your support for the implementation of peace building through environmental conservation, agricultural production, community development and economic growth program in Boma State.
We have acquired 5 tractors, and we are using the 5 tractors to cultivate the land we have been given, which is over 1,000 acres. At the moment, only about 10 are actually the ones that we're making use of.
By expanding the agricultural production and implementing an agroforestry program, Sea Partners has identified 4 key issues which contribute to the lack of livelihood opportunities, impede household recovery, and limit people's potential to lead productive and dignified lives. These are 1. Food security through leadership development and training. Sea Partners has been granted 1,000 acres to farm. This project will employ over 1,000 people in 5 years. Secondly, agribusiness production through large-scale farming. 750 acres of land will be planted in cash crops for food security and for selling. 5,000 fruit trees will be planted for food security and for selling. Thirdly, environmental conservation through agroforestry. 200,000 eucalyptus trees will be planted to preserve the watershed of the Nile. Eucalyptus oil will be produced, extracted through the leaves. Lastly, sustaining education program for children in Boma State.
The problem is that we cannot proceed with our learning is about the war, Murle and J. So in case of that, we have no place to continue with our studies.
Since 2 years we have nowhere to study, but we have nowhere to go for school, and we have no school fees. We look for people who could sponsor us.
We are educating them in school, giving them life skills. In 2013, there was a very violent insurrection in this area. There was violence, and a lot of people were displaced from Boma. It used to have 3 villages, Bayen, Kaiwa and Jungle here where we are stationed. And we lost everything, literally everything that we had here was lost. And since that time, since 2014, we have started rebuilding and getting back at least to where we are, and if possible to exceed what we were doing at that particular time. So since 2014, I can say since we came back, we have done much more than we even expected. God has been good to us, thank God. We re-established the school and reopened once again. It has been ongoing since 2014, except for certain minor disruptions here and then. But the school is up and running. We have had the first batch of Class 8s graduated in 2016. And now most of them are in secondary school in Kenya.
This village, you find that most girls get married at an early age. Like we still have the early marriage thing happening. So most of our girls don't come to school frequently. And the few that we have, they face a lot of challenges, like during periods they don't have their pads. So at that moment, few come to school. And also the tough moments back at home restrict them from coming to school.
Once South Sudan gained its independence in 2011, almost immediately the tribal conflicts began, and Boma's included in that. There's been quite a few conflicts between the different tribes around here, and it allows us to, one, develop a peace-building strategy with them, and also it allows them to see that, hey, we're here for the long term. Which is why Farming for Peace is so important. We believe that if we can bring these communities together to begin this farming and manufacturing program that will develop over the course of the next 5 years, we can find a way to build a lasting peace in South Sudan.
Primary and secondary schools will be funded through the program. The training for the next generation to reduce the high illiteracy rate in southern Sudan is intended to take place. The goal of these projects is to develop a business model that is totally sustainable after 5 years through cultivation, planting, and harvesting of cash crops, fruits, and timber.
I really see the future for Boma is very bright. Not just because Sea Partners is here, because the community at large and the government want to see progress in this area. It's been marginalized for many years. And so now that Boma has this opportunity to move forward into a new era, a new generation through farming for peace. As we begin to plant land, we have over 1,000 acres of land in which to plant. That will plant food, will plant trees, fruit trees, eucalyptus trees, all types of trees that can be made into lumber. The eucalyptus oil can be made so that we can have a prosperous community. All of these items can be transported and exported to different parts of the country or even to the world. So Boma can strategically be a very important place.
Mzungu help Nina, help me, help people for work here.